So you and I have talked about Nick Fuentes many times over the years in our many appearances together, and that's how I knew about him, because he was saying absolutely terrible things about you. And I am going to show a video, please forgive me, of one of my first introductions to this guy, Nick Fuentes, and what he was saying about Ben. This is a video of him showing himself playing Grand Theft Auto, right, a video game where you shoot people, and he's pretending that this character in the video is Ben. Let's watch.
This is whenever he used to be a Twitch streamer, remember that? How does he take that many bullets? Shouldn't he die?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that makes me laugh and laugh. That's a funny one. What a chance encounter that was. I think I just saw Ben Shapiro.
And it goes on.
I feel like there's like 50 Nick Fuentes clips that you can show that are like a lot worse than that. Like him killing a guy in Grand Theft Auto. I mean, I really, I mean, yeah, obviously, like, saying his name, it's definitely kind of weird, but, like, I wouldn't have used that clip, okay? Let me just say that.
It goes on.
I mean, I would hate for people to believe that the Nick Fuentes sort of, my problems with Nick Fuentes are about me, because they really are not. They are about the fact that Nick Fuentes is a truly horrifying person who believes truly horrifying things. Mm-hmm. And again, there is a reason why Charlie Kirk despised him. There's a reason why every mainstream political commentator has been highly critical of him. It's the reason why these are not arguments. This is not a person who's making arguments. He is a Hitler-loving troll, and I say that advisedly. He literally says on his show that he loves Adolf Hitler. Okay, so the reason this has come up in recent weeks is because Tucker, your guest last night, decided to have him on last week and to...
I don't think it's a problem bringing people on the show. I don't think it's a big deal. I think you can criticize Tucker not pushing back against people, but I think that he applies that pretty evenly. I mean, he did the same thing. I would say that one thing that would make Tucker seem less reliable as a impartial person who's interviewing is the way that he treated Ted Cruz versus Vladimir Putin, which, I mean, obviously there's going to be a difference there. I wonder why. But, and also Nick Fuentes, right? Because he was very combative with Ted Cruz.
Completely gloss him, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And you can make up your own opinion as to what you think Tucker was doing during that interview, but I know what it looks like when Tucker Carlson decides to be an aggressive interviewer, when he decides...
Platforming Nazis is a big deal. I mean, but like, wouldn't you say platforming Putin would be more? And also, it doesn't really... If like, let's say theoretically, like, somebody you think is a Nazi, right, gains a tremendous amount of prominence inside of a political space, do you think that it's a good idea to not... like, how long do you think you should pretend like they don't exist until you acknowledge that? Do you see the problem there, right? Like, not platforming people is there's a time limit on that, and eventually it ends. That's it. You don't need to platform them. What I'm saying is that if you tell people that you can't platform certain individuals, and those individuals continue to grow and consolidate power, eventually there's a point where that opinion becomes mainstream. And that's happened many times in history. It's not like this is the first time this has happened. There have been many times where people that have had extreme opinions have, been marginalized or removed, and then over time they get bigger and bigger and bigger until they have enough to lead some form of political resistance. So I think that just not platforming a person is simply not a solution to avoiding a conversation about an idea you disagree with. I just don't think so. Hitler got imprisoned. Yeah, they put him in jail. They put Lenin in jail too.
Ask difficult questions of people. Tucker is eminently capable of doing that. He did it to Ted Cruz quite thoroughly. But he decided for any number of reasons, and I try not to attribute motivations to people, that he was going to treat Fuentes with kid gloves, that he was going to not ask him about any of the things that I've just mentioned, literally any of them, and to essentially normalize Fuentes, act as a sort of gateway drug or as what I've called Tucker, as an ideological launderer of bad ideas over the last couple of years. And this is not coming from a place of animus for Tucker on a personal level. I've known Tucker for a very long time. Tucker and I, whenever we're in personal situations, we get along great. I think I saw that Tucker talked about how we were at Charlie's memorial in the vice president's box together, and he's correct. I mean, we saw each other, we said hello, we talked, it was very friendly, and all of that. And it's also true that a couple of days after Charlie's murder, he reached out and he called me and he said, listen, I know that we're at odds, and we've been at odds for a number of reasons, mainly political. I mean, again, on a personal level, I'd go fishing with Tucker anytime. The real question is, for me, I got into this business because I care about the ideas and I care about the ideals.
Sure.
And so when you're determining what is conservatism, what should the future of America look like, and where do you draw the lines, those are the questions that I need to answer in my job. For me, my business is really not.
I think that right now, somebody like Ben Shapiro is going to have a really hard time winning over the moral authority when he's aligned himself so strongly with Israel. I think this is, it's such a massive issue for a lot of people that I don't think that people will look past it until he moves past it, which I don't think that he necessarily will. But I think that that's really, that's the perspective that a lot of people have. Like, I think that somebody asked him, like, which do you like more, like America or Israel? And he didn't want to answer the question. Like, do you really want to listen to somebody who's a political commentator who doesn't know? Do you want to listen to somebody for advice on America politics that doesn't know if their favorite country is America? I don't. I mean, just categorically.
About friendship. I have lots of friends, people who I love, with whom I disagree on politics and don't believe they should be leaders in the conservative movement, for example. Yeah. And that, to me, is the real question. In any case, Tucker reached out. He said, we've had a bunch of disagreements, and, what if we could put those aside and align toward the DSA in particular, is what he mentioned. And I said, Tucker, you're totally right. Let's do that. That would be great. In fact,
the TSA?
The DSA. The Democratic Socialists of
Why
America.
the TSA? How did that bring you together?
The Democratic Socialists of America. And the reason
No, that I know.
Yes, and the reason that I'm taking out
TSA
my
only
phone
divides people.
is because, yes, the reason I'm taking out my phone is because I don't just, I like to evidence what I'm saying with, actual evidence. So I texted him.
Somebody says, I think you're wrong. In 5 minutes with Nux Talk to will also change your mind because Israel has been portrayed more wrongfully than they deserve. Okay. I still don't, even if Israel is the greatest country in the world, I still don't want to hear somebody telling me that and then telling me what I should think about American politics. That's not the point. The point is that I want somebody who is directly invested and only invested in America to be talking about and giving me opinions about American politics. I don't like Israel, like the way that their government does things and their military seems pretty bad, right? I don't attribute any of this guilt to the Israeli people. I don't have any animus or negativity towards them. I don't hate Jews. Like, I just think that it seems like the government does a lot of bad stuff, but I'm not really a big expert in this either. But I think that it's very clear to see that the writing's on the wall with the young people's support of Israel. It's very obvious to see that writing is on the wall. And if you don't approach that writing in a way that's authentic and reasonable, and you meet voters where they are, well, then they're going to find somebody else that will. So that's the main issue. Nux is from Israel. Well, I don't have any problem with Israel, like in terms of people that are from it or anything like that. Like here's my actual opinion, right? This is a Middle Eastern conflict, thousands of miles away from me. I don't want to have to think about Israel whenever I'm talking about America. On a very fundamental level. Like, I don't even want this to be part of the conversation. The same as, like, talking about Indonesia isn't part of the conversation, or talking about Zimbabwe isn't part of the conversation. It should not even be in the vocabulary.
And the text exchange was very nice. I mean, here's what the actual text exchange went like after the call. So I texted him and I said, "Thanks so much for calling. It means the world. It truly does. Should we do a show together talking about the DSA threat, Democratic Socialists of America threat, and orienting in the same direction? Happy to do whatever it takes to bring everyone back together for the fight that matters." And Tucker then wrote back, "Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to spend the next week or two thinking about how to be most effective. The country is clearly on the brink."
Yeah.
I reached out repeatedly after that. Nothing happened. And again, I thought it was a good idea at the time. I think I felt differently after I saw what he did with Nick Fuentes, and after he proceeded, in my opinion, to spend the subsequent weeks.
These people will never succeed if you purity test. You will never succeed. It's the same as the left wing is purity testing itself to death. Like recently, they've been able to consolidate around a couple of electors, and I think also their collective dislike of Trump. But I don't think there's any real consolidation or any real agreement among them. Their only real agreement is that they don't like Donald Trump, and they want people that are oppositional to him.
Doing literally nothing to fight the left.
So
I say this with sadness because Tucker used to be, I think, a deeply important part of the conservative push to win.
I think that if Ben really wants to overrule Nick Fuentes' influence over, I think, a lot of young people especially, I think that he should engage with what Nick is saying directly and engage Nick directly. I think that talking about it and then saying this is a person who does this, I think that really, and this is something that people might not want to hear, but I think there's a lot of people out there now that do support Hitler. They do. And I'm not a Hitler fan. I don't like Hitler. But the problem is that if there's a lot of people out there that feel that way, you can't just tell them that's bad, you can't have this opinion, and then they're all just going to change their mind. It's not going to work. You can't play on the optics of an argument and then expect to bully people into submission. That's what woke people did for years, and it just didn't work. And this is me saying this in his best interest.
The number of times that Tucker Carlson has mentioned Zoran Mamdani since October 5th on his show is once. And it was in the context of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson talking about the appeal of Zoran Mamdani. Just by way of contrast, not because I'm a perfect representative here, but because
It's not true. He mentioned him a second time when he was talking to Charlie Kirk, but yes.
Talked about Zoran Mamdani a lot. A lot of us have. Since October 5th, I did 17 separate shows on Zoran Mamdani, including 4 in the last week before the election. Okay, because when you're orienting against the left, you really should orient against the left.
On his show? Was that not on his show? I thought that was on his show.
A lot in there.
I think that it's very hard. Like, one of the big issues is that he won't debate Nick, the fool. Yeah, Ben said in that last week. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I thought I'd say 8 months or something like that. I have no idea. But I'll just keep going. I'll talk about it later.
I think, just to be clear, so the breakdown from the detente after Charlie was him interviewing Fuentes. Was that the next thing that happened that led to the blow up?
I mean, yes. I mean, okay. I had not spoken a word. There
so it
were
wasn't
things
that he attacked you, or you had
no,
something?
I don't care about
support Hitler. How? I think a lot of young people they consolidate around figures like Hitler or Stalin. There's a lot of also leftists that love Stalin too. And I think that the reason why they consolidate around people like that is because those people are men of extreme brutal action and people that changed their country. I'd say probably for worse, but they changed their country. And Castro, Fidel Castro is another one, Che Guevara. Yeah, these are violent, psychotic, psychopath. But also, I think that Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, Stalin, Hitler, all of these people were very intelligent. They had high IQ. They were not some moron 80 IQ idiot that doesn't know how to do math. These people were highly intelligent. It's just that they were also very bad. So, and this is another big issue that a lot of people have trouble realizing, is that a lot of the very evil and very bad people are not stupid. They are not stupid at all. They are incredibly intelligent. They are extremely intelligent. And if you don't take that seriously, they will beat you. right? They will beat you because you didn't take them seriously. But the reason why I think that people flock to leaders like that is that they see leaders like that and they see a world without any sort of real path to improvement that is sufficient to them. They don't feel like anything is like it's not good enough, basically. And because it's not good enough, what they end up doing is they end up going to extremes. They go to extremes like Stalin or like Hitler or like Che or Fidel Castro. And I think that that's really why it's happening. And so extreme nationalistic, violent, change. And I think that both of those things are necessary. Violence and nationalism. And I think that really, if you look at a lot of these different people that extremists that are political view highly, they are all both of those two things.
Was that
attacking
interview?
me. And I don't think Tucker cares about people attacking him. I mean, like, again, we're professionals. We're in a business where people comment on what we say publicly. Again, this is why I think you and I differ on our angle with regard to, for example, Candace Owens. I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
But what?
Because
like I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not, but my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business?
Because she's not accountable to her. That's the reason. And I think that collectively society has grown fatigued with people in positions that are morally achieved being the arbiters of what can and cannot be said. I think this is a general sentiment. I think this sentiment extends to the support of Zoran Mandami. I think it extends to the support of Nick Fuentes. I think it extends to the support of Donald Trump. I think it extends to the support of someone like Jay Jones even. People are past being morally policed. And I think this is something that's happening with extreme left-wing and also extreme right-wing people. It's very evident.
I mean, you comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be
ridiculous and retarded. I mean, let's be honest, it is.
Talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erica of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk, yes.
Okay. Like I said, I don't take...
That sounds fucking retarded. It does. It sounds fucking retarded.
In that content, which is an honest statement, I don't have time to watch Candace's show.
I believe you. But the point that I'm making is that
what I understood
friendship
Candace
should
to
not,
have
in
been
our
doing.
business, I think it's important. Listen,
Candace
friendship
and I are
should not
friends.
trump.
We don't even know each other.
I understand, but even with Tucker, friendship should not trump our manifest requirement to speak out when people do and say things that are both detrimental to conservatism and morally wrong.
Okay, so I don't...
I think this is true, and this is true. There are people like that like with streaming, there are people that I criticize very regularly that are other streamers that I'm friendly with. This is normal because there's a professional and a personal barrier there. At least for me, there is.
I totally disagree, but I think the way of handling that, at least for me, is much different. So
I think that really it's not about being professional versus personal with her. I think that what Megyn Kelly is saying is that why are you dividing this movement and purity testing this movement when we're already on the back foot with a lot of these issues? For example, like the economy, people are very disappointed about the Epstein list. People are unhappy about the fixation around Israel and around the Middle East in general. And so really it's not about being friends with this person. It's about consolidating power and looking at a greater evil. You know, there's like the old saying, me against my brother, or me and my brother against my cousin, and me and my brother and my cousin against the world. I think that that's really what Megyn Kelly is advocating for, not necessarily agreeing with Candace Owens, and it's not something that's a personal or a professional guideline. Like, I don't even know why Ben would say that. That's clearly not what's being, that's not the conversation.
I saw things go south between you and Tucker, at least from my vantage point, when you disagreed on Israel. That was obvious. And he was, well, let me just make my point.
Sure.
And so he was saying things that were critical of Israel and our policy towards Israel. And then you did one show where you did what I thought you should have done if you disagreed with him, which clearly you did, which is say what you believe and what you think is factual, and like educate your audience on what you think are the real facts and give them the evidence for it. But
Yes.
you named him, and it felt like an attack. And that, to me, was the beginning of the end, where he was like, now it's on. Because he felt personally attacked by you, as opposed to just challenging his idea. I think you named him, and you kind of diminished him. And, you know, he's an 800-pound gorilla, and if you mess with a gorilla, he's going to fight. And to me, that's where it started to go south. And because I remember that day being like, oh, shit.
Well,
I don't want to see this.
But here's the thing. I would urge everybody to go back and listen to the show that you're referring to, where I criticized Tucker's ideas, not Tucker as a person. Tucker then responded by claiming that I do not love America. That is a direct quote. That I do not love America because I was spending too much time covering the October 7th attacks, and then proceeded in January.
It's problem. I don't know why Ben Shapiro can't address the elephant in the room, where when you're asked whether you like America or Israel more, you don't answer the question. You don't want to answer the question. This is going to make any American suspicious of you. Any patriotic, nationalistic American will be suspicious of that. I am suspicious of that. I find that to be extremely problematic. I'm not speaking for other people. I'm speaking for myself. I don't like that. I don't want anybody who doesn't think America is the greatest country in the world with no reservations to be giving me advice on American politics. I don't know why. Why is this so hard?
To then say that I wanted his children to die in a foreign war.
What the fuck?
Okay, so
But
those are a different.
That's a rhetorical.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that Tucker is following a logical chain of actions where if you are advocating for America defending Israel, it's a simple question. Would Ben Shapiro want, if Israel was attacked, would he ever want American troops to go over to Israel? And if the answer to that is yes, then I think Tucker's accusation is correct. Theoretically, hypothetically.
Well, no, it is not. I'm sorry, it's not. An attack on motivation is a very different thing from an attack on an idea.
His point was that you were sounding like a neocon, and he's upset with anybody who wants us to get too involved in Israel's conflict because he feels it endangers American children.
Okay. The idea that, number one, the idea that I want the United States to be directly involved in Israel's conflict is not true.
No, I know that, Ben.
I've been urging Israel to get off of American aid for literally as long as I have been active in politics.
But I'm making clear what his point was.
But my point is that that's not his point. And again, none of this.
So we disagree.
We disagree on.
So it's an inversion of the way that Americans see this. So you're seeing this as Israel getting away from America's aid, whereas I think a lot of Americans, such as myself, see it as us getting away from aiding Israel. And so there's even an inversion of the way that the problem is even perceived. And I'm speaking generally from my own perspective, but that's the way that I see it.
The interpretation of what Tucker has been doing for the past 2 years. And it's very difficult for me to believe that Tucker is merely anti-Israel when, for example, today, in his newsletter, I can directly quote it if you'd like. In his newsletter today, he claimed that Zoran Mamdani is not anti-Semitic. This was his newsletter today, this morning. I'm happy to read the text. It's a little extraordinary because again, it is.
Is there something that Zoran has done that is explicitly anti-Semitic? And I ask this as a genuine question because I haven't seen anything that he's said or done that has been genuinely anti-Semitic. He said he wouldn't. Where is it?
It is kind of shocking stuff. So here's what Tucker Carlson wrote in his newsletter today, or what his newsletter says under his name. He said, "Is the incoming mayor a fan of Israel? Does he want America to fight its wars? Not particularly. But a Jew hater? That's a different conversation. We've never seen anything to suggest he falls into that ugly camp. If we're talking about fighting the left, defending Zoran Mamdani, who literally said that he has no opinion whether Hamas should disarm, who posed..."
He shouldn't. He shouldn't have an opinion. He's the mayor of one city. He shouldn't be giving his takes on international politics, period. Why is the mayor of New York City giving his takes on international affairs at all? What are we doing? What's the next one?
Donnie, who literally said that he has no opinion whether Hamas should disarm, who posed alongside the 1993 World Trade Center unindicted co-conspirator, who would not disown
Does that mean that he agrees with them?
globalize the Intifada, who suggested that...
I thought that he originally said the globalize the Intifada, or the Infidada. I forgot how to pronounce it. He did. I didn't like his initial answer, but he revised it, and he was just explaining what it meant to these people. I don't know if he was necessarily supporting it directly. Enchilada? I know it's not enchilada, because if it was, I would support it too.
Whenever there's a New York Police Department boot on
I
somebody's
know
neck,
for a
IDF
fact it's
lacing
not
the
enchilada.
strings, to suggest that that's not anti-Semitic in any way, no way.
Okay, but listen.
Or when he
I don't think it is.
Give you a defense of Tucker here, and I don't need to defend Tucker because I'm not Tucker.
Tucker can
But
perfectly
I'll
well
just
defend
say,
himself.
I think in general, because I know him and I listen to him and I understand generally where he's coming from. He would say his problems are with Israel, and he would say that shot that Mamdani laid against the IDF is a shot against the IDF and Israel, and how he thinks they're pro-war, not against.
Yeah, he doesn't want to have the New York Police Department working with the IDF. How is that anti-Semitic? This is the same type of logic that if you enforce crime in minority areas, it means that you're racist. This is the same type of logic, just inverted.
Jews,
Okay.
and I think
All I can say is when
Wait,
Tucker
let me just say
Carlson
this, let me
finds
say this,
himself
Ben.
in complete alignment with Zoran Mamdani,
I
it is
think-
very difficult for me to believe that he does not agree
I
with
think
Zoran
Tucker
Mamdani.
is in a place right now of the same place that Charlie was getting to toward the end of his life, the same place that some people had tried to drive me, which is you're under withering, nonstop accusations of being something you know you're not.
Well-
But from some people who
There are 50 ways that you can criticize Zoran policies. Why are you choosing the one that's the most dubious and the grayest? Why are you doing that? Him being anti-Semitic is like this is a character judgment that can't really be quantified for sure. Why are you even talking about this? And also, like, by the way, tons of Jews there don't think he's anti-Semitic. Like, I know it's not a consensus. Obviously, there's not a consensus with this. But there's a lot of Jews that disagree with Ben Shapiro, too. It's not like every Jew hates fucking Zoran Mamdani. And I think that really... I think that people like Zoran Mamdani will consolidate and grow in power the more that they are misrepresented and mislabeled, in the same way that Trump and also Nick Fuentes have.
love and who you've been protecting, at least in my case and Charlie's case, for 2 years, who you've been completely defensive of.
Megyn,
and Charlie and I both felt, and because we talked about this on my show, like, what's happening here? Why are they dropping charges of anti-Semitism against us when we love Jews and we're both open Semites? We're Zionists.
I'm not. I'm certainly not. I'll tell you that. And new footage wasn't a debate. Ben is so clearly morally and factually right. Yeah, I don't know about that one. And a lot of people really seem to think Ben Shapiro came out ahead with this.